Sometimes the greatest pain is not the illness itself. It is realizing that the people you sacrificed everything for never show up when you need them most. I learned that heartbreaking truth at 72, lying alone in a hospital bed while my own children were living their dream vacation on the other side of the world. My name is Evelyn Harper, and after suffering a minor stroke, I spent several terrifying days in the hospital. The doctors assured me I would recover, but every hour felt longer because I kept staring at the door, expecting my son or daughter to walk in. I convinced myself they must be busy, that they simply had not heard the news yet. But as the days passed, the silence became impossible to ignore. Finally, a kind nurse accidentally revealed the truth. My children had flown to Europe for a luxury vacation. While I was hooked up to machines wondering if I would survive, they were taking photos in Paris, eating expensive dinners, and enjoying the trip without a single thought about me. When I was discharged, I returned to a house that felt colder than ever before. The mailbox overflowed with unpaid bills, dust covered the furniture, and my home looked as though no one had cared enough to check on it. Then I opened my bank and credit card statements. My heart sank as I read page after page of luxury hotel charges, designer shopping, expensive restaurants, and first-class upgrades. Every transaction matched the exact days I had been lying alone in my hospital room. They had not only abandoned me, they had used my own money to pay for the vacation while I fought for my health. That betrayal changed something inside me forever. Instead of begging for explanations, I quietly took back control of my life. I hired a locksmith and changed every lock on my house. I opened new bank accounts they could never access and sold my old car, placing every dollar somewhere safe. Then I gathered every statement, receipt, and unpaid bill into a folder, creating a timeline that showed exactly what they had done while I was in the hospital. Looking at the evidence hurt, but it also reminded me that I was no longer willing to ignore the truth. As the weeks passed, I realized the house no longer felt like home. Every room reminded me of years spent giving everything to people who only seemed to remember me when they needed something. So I contacted a realtor and quietly put the house on the market. Before leaving, I met with my attorney and completely changed my will. Instead of leaving everything to my children, I decided my savings would help children who truly needed support through charities and scholarships. I also left behind a letter explaining why they had lost everything they expected to inherit. Then I moved into a small seaside cottage where peace finally replaced disappointment. Every morning I woke to the sound of waves instead of silence filled with loneliness. For the first time in years, I felt free. A week later, my children returned from Europe expecting life to continue exactly as they had left it. Instead, they found changed locks, an empty house, and my farewell letter waiting for them. Panic quickly replaced their vacation smiles. They called me over and over until they finally found my new address. When they arrived, my son demanded answers while my daughter broke down in tears. They insisted they never imagined I would actually leave. I looked at them calmly and reminded them that while they celebrated with champagne in Paris, I had spent my days staring at an empty hospital doorway hoping my children would remember they still had a mother. I told them the house was sold, the money was protected, and they would inherit nothing because they had already traded their inheritance for a vacation the moment they chose comfort over compassion. They left without another argument because for the first time there was nothing left to say. They had finally realized that the woman they believed would always forgive them had chosen herself instead. Today my life is quiet, peaceful, and finally my own. I still love my children because a mother's heart never completely stops loving, but I no longer allow that love to cost me my dignity. I have learned that family is not measured by blood, shared memories, or promises of inheritance. Family is made up of the people who stand beside you when your world is falling apart. If someone constantly treats your kindness like an endless supply they can take from without giving anything back, never be afraid to walk away. Sometimes the hardest goodbye becomes the beginning of the happiest chapter of your life.